Today on Bachelor Party, we talked about Sarah so much. We didn't get to talk about some of the other women, and they deserve attention. There's other people still here. I mean, Sarah's gone after all. So let's get into it with Kevin O'Connor. Let's batch. This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 Bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements, so many other couples we didn't see them coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code Visible24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. This episode is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. All right, it's official. I think I've discovered the ultimate coupling of all time. Like any good relationship, they really balance each other out. One is super sweet, and the other, well, they can be a little nutty sometimes. It is, of course, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, the perfect combination of peanut butter and chocolate. So perfect, some would call it true love. Find Reese's now at a store near you. Welcome to Bachelor Party. It's January 20th. You're going to listen to this on January 21st or after, but it's an exciting day here in America and in the world. And Kevin O'Connor, first time on Bachelor Party, long-time ringer podcaster. Welcome, Kevin. How are you?
Thank you for having me on, Juliet. I am so excited. I was so excited to get the text to be on this now that it's actually happening. I'm happy to talk some Bachelor. It's been a fun season so far.
It's kind of like Basketball Thursday here on Bachelor Party. Last week we had Jay Billis on Thursday. And, I just was like, let's just keep the basketball experts going. There's so much, as I often say, so much sports and Bachelor crossover. I just want to note, Kevin and I are conducting this podcast via Zoom, as we have been for many months at The Ringer. And Kevin's background is Nemacolin. It looks beautiful, I'm going to say.
Yeah, it feels good here. Great view, great place.
It is like beautiful lighting at Nemacolin, is it not?
Oh yeah. I mean, the view with Matt James there with the red carpet leading up to the building.
I know. It was grand.
Stunning. Yeah.
Kind of look like the U.S. Capitol. I was just watching the inauguration. When I saw you log on, I was like, "Is that the Capitol behind him?" And I was like, "No, it's Nemacolin."
At least it's not the Quinta.
We're gonna do a rapid fire through the women because me and Natasha spent a lot of time on Sarah. We'll hit her too, but there's a lot of other women we didn't really discuss. Obviously, had so much Victoria, so I want to talk about everyone else that we haven't gotten to. But before doing that, Bill and Nora were discussing this on the Bill Simmons podcast. How much do you miss the traveling so far? Now that we're like 1 season and 3 weeks into Matt's, we had the Bachelorette, now we got Matt 3 weeks. Like, how much do you miss it?
Massively. I don't think I missed it. Yeah, I don't feel like I missed it as much last season. It was the beginning of the pandemic and at the time when they recorded it, they're scrambling. But right now I watch it back now the second season in a row without any traveling. It makes me miss just not being able to go out anywhere at all. It makes me miss not seeing change of scenery. It feels very stagnant, and like watching the show is sort of a reminder of that, when normally part of the enjoyment, I watch the show every week with my mom. And part of our enjoyment is seeing the different places that they go to and some of the cheesy stuff that they see in smaller towns. It's part of the fun in it. And, it's, no different than like certain cooking shows, where like they travel the world. Yeah,
it's like Top Chef, how they travel eventually.
Yeah, Dave Chang going around the world. And, that's part of the fun in watching the Bachelor and Universe shows. And I do miss that for sure.
It's funny, like when I was doing last year, when I did the countdown of the most dramatic seasons ever, we did factor travel into it, like the cool places they went. And at the time I was like, are we overrating travel? Like, does it really matter? But now I think we may have underrated it and like travel induced drama, essentially, and like all the different places. And you do realize how much time they spend like setting the scene of like, and now we're in Croatia, and now we're in Amsterdam, like wherever they go. I don't think they've been to either of those places, but no big deal. And like, it's just funny. Like there's like minutes to fill that you didn't even realize they had to when they don't travel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it just sets the scene, and it leads to a lot of, I don't know, it's just fun. It's a good time, and I feel like right now they're doing everything they can to keep it interesting and have fun dates and all that. But ultimately, it just feels like a lot of repetitive, stuff they're going through. How many times can you go in a hot tub on the same?
It's the same hot tub too. They don't even change the hot tub. It's the same like wood one. Last week we saw Matt chopping wood to power it. I was wondering, like, can they actually just plug this in, or does someone have to chop wood every time they use it? Like, do they need logs, and how do they get that, and like all this stuff? I've got questions about that hot tub. I have noticed it. I've been since researching barrel hot tubs. Very lovely, very pretty. But I was like, do they have jets? Is it really just? I think it's just like a hot bath. I don't see any like jacuzzi actions.
So you do need to chop the wood. As Matt did that.
I think so.
It's part of the requirement there.
So.
You got to be strong and chiseled in order to operate that hot tub.
Yeah, exactly. You just mentioned that you watched this with your mom. What was it like watching the erotica date with your mom? What's the most uncomfortable moment you've had watching the show with your mom?
I think I forget what year 40-Year-Old Virgin came out, like 04, 05. But I watched that with both my parents back in like 05. I was like 14 years old.
Sure.
That was the most awkward time that I can remember watching a TV show or movie with my parents. And this, I don't know.
What about The Bachelor specifically, though, or Bachelorette?
Yeah. I mean, I think this probably was up there for sure. But I don't know. I don't really care. We both laughed at it. We both found how funny it was. It seems like all the girls were comfortable too. It's unlike the date last year with the guys when they stripped down. That was uncomfortable. This was just more awkward.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. This is not like I don't know if should be allowed. This was just like uncomfortable, and I was surprised that they all did as good of a job as they did of writing the material. But the biggest shock was that Chris Harrison has written an erotica novel. I had no idea.
I was reading the Amazon reviews about that last night.
What did they say? Oh, smart. What did they say?
I mean, there's a lot of hardcore fans saying, great, beautifully written. But there's a lot of this is boring and dry and the characters have no depth.
Oh my God. I was just like, maybe I need to skim that book. I think I have it somewhere. That was the biggest surprise to me. One thing that Natasha and I didn't hit, and this will lead into our discussion of the gals, is Rachel kept saying, who won the group date rose, kept saying this is a really empowering challenge. Like she said, like she felt empowered by this, and I keep calling it a challenge. Like it's MTV, it's a date. Excuse me. I did not find this to be empowering. What was your take on that comment?
Definitely not empowering. That's not the word I would use. I mean, it was a way to be creative and to show a different side of you for sure. And ultimately, I'm a little bit surprised more of the girls didn't go the route that Matt did, or was just sort of, a tease. It was a lead up to the moment. His story, at least, some of the girls are just going all in hardcore. I was really surprised by that.
Oh my God.
I feel like Matt's approach was great, as were some of the other girls. But
I thought Kit, actually, I felt like she had an underrated performance.
Yes.
Kit, very good dramatic reading. And she she really went for drama and not as much as the shock factor as Victoria. But it seems like Matt, she got Matt. I think he liked it. Although, the way it was edited, it was very hard to tell who he was actually responding to. You had no idea, because they should have done a side by side. I actually would have appreciated that. If you had one camera on Matt and one camera on whoever's at the mic, so you could see his real time reactions.
Yes.
I would have liked that. But I felt like
the small box view that they use on the live shows with Chris Harrison when they show the audience reactions. I would have loved to see that too.
Because that's the thing, is I never know if we should trust what we're seeing. It's did they cut this together? How did that happen? And it seemed like that happened a lot there. And
that was very very cut, just short, one sentence, two sentences from each person, and didn't really get to hear the stories develop.
I know we didn't really know the narrative was there, which is part of the reason why I was like, is this empowering? Because I guess women owning their sexuality that can be empowering, but when you're trying to one up each other and it's a competition of who has the most ridiculous, or it's almost erotica meets fan fiction about Matt. It's it's doing Tumblr in real life, essentially. It's kind of what it is. It's bringing Tumblr to life at Nemacolin, and I don't know if that's really how you're going to feel great about yourself. In fact, I don't think it is. That was my take. But we kind of are starting to get a lot of subtle Rachel. And this is similar to Ben with last season on Tayshia's season, who didn't win. But I'm just why? I was why am I getting so much Ben? He's done nothing of note, yet he's on every episode. Similarly with Rachel, I'm she's also done nothing of note, except when this rose. And I'm like, why? And there's no real explanation of why Matt gave her the rose. And so I think we have to assume Rachel goes very far.
Definitely. I mean, there's sort of a connection there. I believe she might have alluded to it, like, oh, there's some connection here. I'm glad you feel that too. And I don't know. She just, like, coming from me, watching from my couch, she just strikes me as like a cool girl. She just seems like pretty chill, relaxed. She doesn't seem to be on there, at least from my perspective, watching like she's there for the Instagram followers or anything like that. Just seems like someone who's there to have a good time and do something very different and possibly meet, the man of her dreams and, future husband. And I don't know. There just seems to be a connection, a maturity there. She's, also from the South. Maybe.
Yeah, she is. She's from Georgia, I believe.
Yeah. Lot of common ground there, maybe.
There's been some digging on her social media. Do you read Bachelor Reddit, Kevin? I feel like it would be right up your alley.
I do not at the moment, because I'm afraid of spoilers. I'm afraid
they mark it really clearly, so it's easy to avoid.
So I can go on there. That's safely. You can go on, yeah. Okay,
you can avoid it, and then you have to show restraint. But yeah, they show.
Okay.
I mean, they market very well moderated subreddit.
Good. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it is good. Rachel's social media has revealed that she, like, when she was in high school, which isn't that long ago for her,
she's 24.
Liked a lot. What'd you say?
She's 24.
Yeah, so like 6 years ago ish. Yeah. She liked a lot of like Halloween photos that were very problematic, like some with the Confederate flag. I think there's some dressing up as American Indians, and I think there's going to be more Rachel problems in the future. And I think that's like particularly disappointing this season. Obviously Matt being the first Black Bachelor to like have a prominent person on the show, like be associated with that. And like, when you're in high school, you're really young. And like also perhaps she like grew up in a really cloistered part of the South where that's part of the culture still, as like we've seen over the last few months, is a big part of the culture in many places in this country still. But perhaps she's changed. Maybe she knows like that's wrong now, but it's just like really unfortunate. And it's like it makes watching Rachel for me like even like less fun than maybe it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that, and I mean, it's the type
Sorry
of
to
thing
drop
where,
it on you.
Yeah, I mean, it's the type of thing where hopefully for her in the 6 years since high school, she's grown up and realized, oh my goodness, like how stupid I was in high school. I can't believe I used to like these posts or used to find that funny or whatever it might be. And because ultimately, as people, we all make mistakes, to whatever degree it might be. And it's about growing from that. So hopefully for her, the person she was in high school, that she doesn't have those beliefs or views anymore.
Totally. And, I bet this will be addressed. I hope it is, at least. We'll see.
Especially if she goes far. It probably will be. I know.
Right? Like there has to, so looking back on it, it's so weird they didn't do an after the final rose for Zach and Tayshia. I'm sure they will for Matt. Like this franchise, they protect it like so much. So if she's even like in the top 4, I bet it's addressed, especially because Matt, it's been pretty cool how I think he's been trying to like make conscientious statements about like, about race, like now that he's in this role. I think that the way he's been using his social media since the show started is like markedly different. I don't know if you follow him, but if you do, have you noticed that as well?
I have seen some posts, and I think he's done a great job, like on the show with some of the speeches he's had with the prayer and all that, and also the stuff on social media. Like I'm impressed by him.
Yeah,
I think he's pretty good.
He's kind of boring. I'm sort of like, the other thing is I'm like, oh, Matt has no game. I'm just like, okay, interesting.
Well, he kisses with his eyes open. So
kisses with his eyes open. The way he leans in is very mechanical. It's like he's doing an exercise and he's like isolating part of his body. Like he only leans forward, doesn't move his hips. And I'm just like, okay, you're an athlete. I can see that in all moments of your waking life. But yeah, I'm like, oh, Matt has no game. Very interesting.
He seems just like before the show, like we had like a Bachelor group posts, on the Ringer, and I was like, hopefully at the least he's going to be fun. If he's anything like Tyler, he's friends, it'll be fun. And what I hope for is him to be open and genuine. What I didn't expect was that he would be kind of boring and almost kind of nerdy in a way, but he is being open and genuine so far, which is what I care about most with the show. Like the drama is fun and everything, like it's fun. But also, like this show, like It's my favorite show on TV because like where else are you going to get like just raw human emotion? Like some of the stuff we've seen over the years. I mean, it's so real when it gets real. Like the beginning episodes, I was talking to someone recently, like if you're trying to get into the show, I feel like the first 3 episodes aren't what are going to loop you in. It's true. When it gets real, that's when the show's at its best. And he seems to be on that path. I hope.
That's a good point. The first few episodes, there's so many women to deal with that you don't really get the drama that you're like, we actually come to the show for. But one thing that I think is funny is like Peter and even Colton got like visibly overwhelmed by the girl drama. Like it seemed like it had to like a physical toll on them. Or with Matt, I just like he's not into it. Like getting rid of Marilyn, right when he hears that she did something to Victoria, and Natasha and I barely talked about this, but getting rid of Marilyn, I was kind of shocked. I was just like, he's getting rid of her, but not Victoria and not both. I was just like, they're not both allowed to stay and like some kind of 2-on-1. I was sort of floored by that. He just gave her the orchid and now she's gone.
Yeah. I don't get it. Like how much I said this in our Ringer Slack, I would have sent Victoria home before the first rose ceremony.
That's what Jay Billis said too. He was like, she's got to go.
Because like I would want to set a tone as the Bachelor. Like there's no tolerance for this type of nonsense, whatever it was. And I'm a little bit like, how much of that is influenced by the producer saying like, hey, keep her around a little bit? Like is that a real thing that producers might influence who a guy keeps? Or
yeah, I think in the beginning that's true. I've heard that it's sort of like you get to give like your preferences and then they ask you to keep some other people, I guess. It's sort of like a 1 for you, 1 for me kind of thing, or 2 for me, 1 for
interesting.
Them kind of thing. That's what I've heard. That's just unverified tea, but that's what my sources say.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
I'd have a hard time remembering all their names on night 1. I would need a list.
Matt's doing a great job with that. It's like incredible. He seems to like really remember things. Even if the producers are helping him, he sells it very well. And I think if that was easy to do, like all bachelors would do it. So it leads me to believe it's not easy to do.
I agree. He's, for someone who wasn't even on The Bachelorette, doing a nice job. I'm impressed by Matt. Doing great.
Totally. This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 Bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements, so many other couples we didn't see coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code VISIBLE24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. This episode is brought to you by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. eBay knows that when it comes to jewelry, authenticity is the real gem. When you see the blue check mark that says Authenticity Guarantee, it means your next piece will be carefully inspired by jewelry experts and will always be worth its weight in gold. Whether you're looking to make a statement or build the perfect everyday look, eBay is making sure you get the real deal. With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, you can trust that jaw-dropping piece will always arrive jaw-droppingly real. Ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit ebay.com for terms. All right, let's talk about some of these women that we just didn't get to. I want to start with Anna. Anna, Kevin, how would you explain her personality to a Martian or someone who's never watched the show?
Almost bubbly over the top. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought at first like, oh, super nice, super genuine, but then this past week kind of mean. And
so mean.
That surprised me a little bit. I didn't like the meanness from Anna. I thought she seemed like a nice, bubbly, open person, and then suddenly started, bullying a little bit. I hate to use the word bullying because,
I know, but I agree with you. They were really mean to her, like overly so. She kept saying like everything with Sarah was a joke, and I wrote in my notes that she seemed like she'd be friends with Elle Woods in college, but like the Elle Woods at the beginning of Legally Blonde, not the Elle Woods at the end. Like she would have been in the sorority, but she wouldn't have made it past like Elle Woods's nice person training as a lawyer. But I don't know. I really I can see her on the beach in paradise. I just feel like she's like forever a narrator and like probably won't find love this way.
I mean, that's harsh, but could be true. And like, this just doesn't seem like the right format for her, considering the way in which she handled that. And I don't know. I didn't like Anna from before the show started because she said on the Bachelor profiles that she would love to write Hallmark movie scripts. I'm just not a Hallmark movie fan. I like Lifetime movies. That's my vibe. So I felt like I'm not into her, on this show, not my type. And then I started liking her. Like I said, first episode, I started liking her, but not so much anymore after seeing the way she acted with the Sarah situation.
Seems like she loves to give a quote. Like, I feel like she's just like enjoying this a little bit too much. One thing I kind of liked about Sarah, I think ultimately, now that I've had the time to think about it, I fall on the side of Team Sarah. How can you not feel bad for the girl that's getting just everyone's ganging up on her? That's harsh. Ultimately, I'm Team Katie. I love Katie.
Katie was the best.
I know. But I think we all just love Katie now.
How does the vibrator girl get past that? How does she get past that?
I know.
Remarkable.
It's an incredible change of narrative. I mean, like, is there even a sports, is there a sports comp to this? I don't even know. Someone who's gone from like total joke to total legend. I mean, it's impressive.
I don't think we've ever seen a rise like this. It's remarkable, really. I mean,
it is.
I thought like the only arguable misstep was when she came back into the room when Sarah and Matt were talking, and she just stayed in the room. That's not what I would have done. I understand it though. I get doing that because your time is being taken at that moment. She didn't know, part of Sarah's reasonings for doing what she did.
I liked when they were like bargaining over the time, and when when Sarah was like, "I'll bring him back to you in like 5 minutes," and Katie's like,
2 minutes.
2?
That made me laugh. It was so good.
Me too. She really did. And she's got a good social media. Have you checked it out? She's funny. I'm not on TikTok. Too scary for me. Mm-hmm. But she's apparently got like 45,000 followers on TikTok because she like does comedy. So I have
to check it out. I've been thinking of starting a TikTok, Juliet. Doing some.
You are?
There's like a void with NBA content on TikTok. Kind of want to try to fill it.
And also, your kind of like lo-fi green screen that I know you love would fit in very well on TikTok. That's kind of like the aesthetic.
And I don't know. I feel like the green screen here in my bedroom. I got I got the setup to do TikTok. I just need to have a phone mount. Hold my phone up.
Like, what are you gonna do? Just break down game tape, crush some tape on TikTok?
I think something like that. We could do like short bite-sized versions of some of the stuff on an article or video or pod or whatever. Okay. I feel like there's an opportunity there. So I want to.
Interesting.
I had someone DM me about that recently. They're like, start a TikTok.
Interesting. Well, in my main capacity as head of production, I'd love to talk to you about this, not on the podcast. That's my real job, in case anyone was wondering. Anyway, back to Anna. She just seems like she loves to give these quotes. And when you really love it, I mean, I love people who are passionate, enthusiastic. That's kind of the hallmark of The Ringer, right? Like, follow your passions and lean into them. But I don't want that passion to be being mean about your fellow contestants on The Bachelorette. There's a way to express disapproval without saying everything that everyone else said this week.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, ultimately, it's like you were talking about earlier this week with Natasha. Understandably, the girls were pissed off about Sarah going in there and taking their time. But I just hate to see whenever there's drama, it just turns into what it does. Like, even I forget who said it, but one of them said, like, if you're going to stay here, it's going to be a living hell for you. Stay living in this house. It's like, don't make comments like that. Why not just try to understand the person who very clearly, when Sarah walked into that room, I mean, first of all, early in the episode, I said to my mom, Sarah looks like she's going to implode. You could see it in her eyes. She looked like Giannis at the free throw line. You could tell she was stressed out, anxious, and something was going to, snowball for her. And, later in the episode when she walked into the room to apologize, you could see that too. Like, I felt like it was genuine. Like, she's like, I screwed up big time. Like, these girls are going to hate me. And they attack her instead of saying, oh, what's wrong here? Like, is something serious? I wish people would take that approach more than instead of just attack.
I know. And I guess, like, what did you think about how Sarah kind of positioned what's going on with her father, who has ALS, which I've said is like just incredibly devastating.
It's awful.
I can't imagine. There was a tweet that like went like semi-viral in Bachelor Nation from someone who knew Sarah's family, and I'll just read it. It's like, it's pretty like damning, I would say. I don't know, but like there's just, I don't want to be too hard on Sarah because I really just can't imagine what she's going through. But Someone tweeted her handle is @HousesAndMe. I'll say this, then shut up. Now I don't have to listen to Sarah drag her dad through the Bachelor bullshit. He's been my friend for 34 years. He didn't deserve to be used on TV. I introduced her parents to each other. They are my friends. The whole thing was a travesty. As very strong words from someone who knows Sarah and her family. And again, like, I think Sarah really deserves a lot of empathy because she's clearly was overwhelmed by what was going on and everything with her father. But I'm just curious, like, where did you fall on that? And like, how have you thought about Sarah's like total arc? But I also want to say, everyone's like, Sarah's definitely coming back. I don't know if Sarah's definitely coming back. I don't think so. I think she's out.
I think so too. And I hope for her she's out. I think, I lost my dad in 2020 to cancer, and, I was there for his final moments and every day towards the end. And I think what Katie said is 100% true. Like, what are you here for? Like, go be with family. And obviously we don't know. ALS is very complicated. People can last a long time in a bad condition. And, she felt like she was called to be there, and I'm glad she went to be there. I'm not sure I totally understand that tweet. I noticed it was deleted, or at least they made their account protected after it went viral. I don't know the context there of how she used her dad, as like an excuse to leave. I feel like it's a very fair excuse to leave. I don't know. It was very complicated watching that with my mom and I. It was kind of a roller coaster. We didn't like the way she used it at first. When she first talked to Matt, mentioning I'm bullied out of here. And oh, by the way, I'm leaving to be with family. But just thinking about it, like in those moments, you don't know how you feel. Everybody handles, these tough times differently. And for her, clearly going through a lot. Yeah. Clearly going through a lot. And, I think when you're in that moment, probably on the show, you're not thinking everything through. You might be being nudged by producers. Just go talk to Matt. It's no big deal. It's okay. Go talk to Matt. I don't know what it's like behind the scenes. But for her, like, I have a hard time placing blame on her when she's the one going through something pretty serious and is also getting, just having a hard time with everything. So for her, I just look at the others and I'm like, people need to do a better job of just trying to understand others. And when somebody very clearly, even though she screwed up, she walked in there and admitted she screwed up. I thought that was a big move to do that. To walk right in there.
I thought the apology was an even bigger move. She stood up there, owned up to it, and she apologized to this group of girls that she doesn't even know that well. And like, I don't know what she did. It's like kind of like breaking a cardinal rule of the show, but it's also like good television. So she also like did something for everyone at home. So thank you, because there's not a lot of drama otherwise.
Yes.
And so I don't know. Like I just ultimately feel bad for Sarah. Also, I think I'm starting to sound like really old, and I don't want to be like old person, but I do like feel maybe this is coming off of Claire and Tayshia's season, where both Claire and Tayshia were, I think Tayshia's 30 and Claire is 39, and the men were like, the youngest was 26, but like even that was like really young. Like a lot of these guys are 30 and older. I feel like these women just seem young, which is totally fine. Obviously, or y'all are young at some point. Thanks to the Lord. But they're gonna make mistakes, and like it's so Sarah's just doing her thing. She's insecure. I feel like insecurity is the main theme of the season. I guess that is of many seasons, but like between Sarah, like being so unsure in her relationship, and even Victoria just saying like I basically asking for like affirmation about if she's pretty or not. Like just sort of like a weird open book on insecurities so far.
For sure. I mean, and I think when you're in that house, it's only natural that you would feel insecure. I try to put myself in their shoes, and it's like if I walked in that house and there's a bunch of 6'2", 6'3" hot bod guys around me all vying for the same girl, I would definitely feel insecure. I'd feel like I'm in high school again in some ways, especially with all the petty drama that would inevitably happen. I think it's only natural to feel insecure in those moments. But I think that's why sometimes the people who come out on top in the show, or at least go the furthest, are the ones who are like just sort of above it, or just like, whatever. I'm not going to worry about other people. And just you can't. You really can't. And
it's like the challenge. Do you watch the challenge, Kevin?
I don't watch the challenge.
On the challenge, they're always like, well, I'm just playing my game, and then you're always tied to other people. So it's like the point is it's not an individual game, but people in their confessionals are always like, I'm just here to play my game, and like right now this person's messing up my game. It's just really funny how they talk about like their own strategy as like, I'm playing my game. It is very much like athletes where they're just like, I'm playing my game and we're going to keep doing what we do until it works. It's like a team that isn't performing very well. They're just like, we need to stick to our identity and like play Warriors basketball or whatever it is.
Yeah.
it's very, I feel like that's transcending into reality TV where it's like, for the competition shows where it's just like, I'm going to play my game and this is how I'm doing it. And like, this is my approach to Matt. And it's really crossed over.
Yeah. I mean, it's the type of thing where, you know, when it comes to dating in general, you gotta just be yourself. You gotta just play your game. Yeah. You can't try to be somebody else or like, oh, what if they don't like this about me? You just gotta be yourself. That person doesn't like something that you're passionate about or love to do, then that person's not for you. They're just not. It's not a fit. You know? Yeah, it's not a fit. So just, you know, be happy you learn that on the first date or the second date. Keep going on your way. Yeah, you got to play your game. Be you.
And I will say Matt's best moments have been when like his weirdness comes out. Like the turtle thing with Serena P. That was really funny. And I really liked how she was like, so were you a weird kid? That's probably my favorite moment of the season so far because that felt real. I really liked Serena P in general. I just thought that she seemed fun and had like a good sense of herself. And I feel like he had a good time with her too. I don't know if there's a big connection there, but it seemed like it was like a good hang.
I'm not sure about the connection either. I mean, we'll see if that develops over time. But like, you know, you mentioned there's a lot of young girls. She's only 22. She seems mature to me.
She does. I thought she was older.
Very mature. Yeah. I mean, age sometimes can be misleading just looking at that number. But, you know, 22 years old, I would not have been surprised if you told me she was 29 or 30 in terms of maturity. Yeah. She seems great. And, you know, like you said, seems like just a nice, fun, you know, genuine person. Another one on the show that just seems like they're just, you know, there to be on a journey and maybe meet somebody special. I like her, and I like her too. I think she'll go far, but I don't see winning potential there.
I don't know
based off the chemistry.
I think he seemed like very into her personality. I'm afraid that Matt doesn't like a bubbly personality is one of my concerns about him, but you know,
does he want more? Does he want someone more serious? Like, what do you think Matt's type is then?
Sweet. I think he likes a really sweet woman, which is a lovely quality. And like Serena versus like Abigail. Like Abigail's awesome, and I think he's really into her. But they had like that really cute like ear moment where like I'll touch my ear and whatever. That was very sweet. But I think there's just like a sweetness there where it's more sort of like jokey with Serena.
Interesting. And yeah.
I don't know. I want Abigail to get a one-on-one. I feel like we need more pure Abigail time.
For sure. I haven't really seen her, you know, much this past week. How about Brie? Like, does she fall into the sweet category too?
She's totally different, I think. Yeah. I feel like she was just she's really formidable. I really liked Brie. She just seemed like very like forthright, I guess is the best way I can put it. I don't know. She had like a real gravitas, I felt.
Yes. Yeah, I super right away, super into Brie. I was texting with my friend Grant, who works for, you know, NBC Sports Bay Area. He's a Warriors guy, and we both agree. Like Brie,
she's from San Francisco, Grant.
Oh, whoa!
If she doesn't, or she lives there at least. If it doesn't work out with Matt, Grant, she's nearby.
Interesting. I'll have to let Grant know. Hopefully, she's a Warriors fan. Might watch the show. Who knows? But yeah, Brie seems great. She
does seem great.
Another one, like only 24, who seems very mature. Like
she did.
This seems like a mature group overall to me.
Yes.
There's a mixture with some immaturity and, you know, youthful pettiness. But I think some of the favorites in here are very mature, even though they're on the younger side.
Brie's a great sport. I mean, that date sucked. I mean, maybe some people would like it, but like also her date Matt risked her life. So I don't know if you get past that.
Yeah, that date was awful. One of those dates where they're struggling to find something good to do in this, you know, one place.
Well, but it seemed like Matt really loved it. That's something about Matt. I think he like loves the activities. Like he loves to just like play and like do stuff.
Well, on her page, it does say on the Bachelor page, it's very rare that she spends a weekend indoors and not outside hiking or hanging at the park and nearby beaches. So she does.
But that doesn't include nearly dying on an ATV.
And also it clarifies hiking or beaches. So far different than what they actually did. But at least she enjoys the outdoors.
Cool. That actually would be a good date for these people. I mean, it would be boring and I guess like long. But if they were just like, okay, we're going on a hike, and they just like had to like talk to each other for a few hours, that'd be a great date.
Be better than riding horses. Like you can't talk to each other. Or like,
I know, you can't control the horse. It's not good.
Yeah.
One thing that was really appalling was Matt never having had a charcuterie board before. Never like
how?
It's like a staple of like young people these days, if you ask me. It's on every bar menu. It is cheap and easy to put together at home. it like lends itself to like personal style, flair, and innovation. That was just truly shocking. And I've been thinking about it all week. He then made a joke about it and like made a board on his social media where it was like pepperoni slices and like cookies and whatever. And it looked disgusting. But I just found that so shocking, especially because him and Tyler were living together and presumably like having people over. It's just an easy way to entertain. I don't know if two 27-year-old guys are thinking about that, but I just want to say it's pretty easy for the future.
So how old is Matt? 29?
Matt's 28.
20. Okay. So I guess I shouldn't say how has he not had? I don't think I've had my first one until I was 28 either. When I moved to LA and one of my friends' girlfriends' family, like they have them over their house all the time. That's when I first had one at 28 years old. So me and Matt do have that in common. I'm not even sure I knew what they were before that, if I'm being totally honest. So it wasn't a thought in my mind at all. So I understand Matt, but also how? They're so awesome. They're delicious. They're fun to put together too.
Yeah, it was just
it
was very wacky, but I can't get over it. Just sort of like Jared Freed, who's been on this podcast, pointed out that like Matt has not had a single carb on the show, and Matt might live a carb-free life, which I had a bagel this morning, so I can't relate to that. And I had pizza last night, so there you go. So
I broke a diet streak recently having a pizza. It was delicious. Yes. So how can you go without carbs for too long? Gotta treat yourself sometimes.
He does love cookies, so at least we know that about him.
Okay, good.
I don't know, but anyway, Serena P handled that moment very well. I just feel like she's got grace. I feel like she like is a good conversationalist. She can pivot. She can go like down a detour. I don't know. I'm really into Serena P.
And they talked about their dating history too. It was good. Really good conversation.
It is funny how that's like one of the first things that's asked on the show. It's so unnatural to like immediately bring up past relationships. It's sort of like not a normal thing to do in the beginning of knowing someone, but whatever.
And it's like she said, normally she takes things slow, but with this, she's forcing herself to open up right away about things that she might normally wait until the second or third date. I can't imagine. I mean, like we just saw, Claire and Dale, the news of them breaking up. I can't imagine it being enough time to have a high success rate. No. It's just not enough time. And there's so many little things that you don't talk about or
of course.
Can't
and like just like the practical stuff of like, what if you're having a bad day? How do you respond to your partner's bad day? Are you supportive?
Yes.
Do you not care? Like things like that. On the note of Claire and Dale, confirmed breakup. There was speculation on Monday and now it's confirmed. Dale does not seem too upset. He was Instagramming last night about like asking for recommendations, like where to go to dinner, which he's since deleted. And he also like he just sort of was like going about life. So they probably broke up a while ago. I'm sure he is upset, but it probably just like wasn't like it happened in the last 5 days. Probably happened in, like the last 2 weeks or something. Yeah. But yeah, Dale perhaps could have handled that a little bit better. I feel really, really sad for Claire.
I know,
really sad.
She thought like they had something serious, sort of like didn't her parents meet and get married like in less than a month really or something quickly. Like that. Yeah. And I mean, she thought she had that. And I just feel bad for her because that's an opportunity that she talked about on the show about waiting for, about wanting that, it's the type of thing where giving it up after a week, maybe something could have developed serious with somebody else had she stayed along. And I hope for her that she's able to just move past it and hopefully, like, there's people that she's able to meet, now that she's been the Bachelorette, that, she'll have more people, that she
open
can meet.
Up her world
open up the options there, I hope.
She's been on the show for a long time, so I don't know if that's going to happen. Or she's been on many times before. But it just makes me really sad. Also, you have to think, like, does she go back and then you could really go down a regretful path, being like, if I hadn't lasered in on Dale, could I have ended up with one of those other guys? I guess she could reach out to them, though, to, like, see if there's anything there, like some of the other ones.
Not impossible, but I don't know. I feel like once somebody moves past you like that, it's like, oh, so I'm your second choice. And that would be a feeling that's hard to get over. Even if, it's genuine and she's like, what, I fucked up. I made a mistake. It's hard to get past that if you're on the other side of it, I think.
I think she should reach out to Jason, the linebacker. Or sorry, the lineman, not a linebacker. I feel like there could have been something there. He seems like a good guy. I don't know. I that's who I'd like her to go after.
Go for it, Claire. If she's listening, why not?
Blake
Slide in the
Moynes,
DMs.
who read the book to like know how to get close to Claire.
Go for it. Go, Claire.
Yeah. Anyone who was like in the Tasha mix, I just feel like she should be like, nah. Although I don't know. Maybe they can pivot back. But I'm just like, I feel like Ivan, that's probably a no for her. He was just like went too far with Tasha. Yeah. Obviously, Brendan, not ready for a serious relationship. Ben, he was really into Tasha. So like they're all out. So I don't know. I just feel like she should go with who she actually kind of connected with. So
no doubt about it. I mean,
call Jason.
Yeah, go for it. Go, Claire. Come on.
Oh man. Okay, more women from this season. I keep getting diverted. Serena C. She was wearing a ridiculous outfit for the erotica date. Just want to note that. I don't know if you got that, but it was like just very. She was wearing just I think a leather bikini top underneath like a jacket. I don't know. I have to say I like the fall fashions quite a bit. Those are fun.
I don't recall the outfit. I'll have to watch back.
You don't, Kevin?
I don't recall it.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. She was also revealed to be part of the Mean Girl Brigade, which I wasn't really expecting.
Yes, I wasn't either. I liked her at the beginning. Again, another person, like with Anna, liked her first episode. Like, oh, cool. Serena seemed okay, and then suddenly realized not so cool. And does stuff like that, does Matt find out who is part of that through conversations with producers, or is that just like, out of sight, out of mind for him?
I don't think he knows. I think someone has to tell him. And I don't think the producers do. So I think they sometimes will coax the women into like sharing this stuff, but otherwise he doesn't know. I don't think he does. So I wonder how they haven't really had any time together. So she probably won't go that far, but yeah, it's like he has to do his own fact finding.
How would a season go? You mentioned he has to find his own fact finding. It's not often, or maybe we've never seen this, that the bachelor or bachelorette goes on like that. They put on their, investigator hat and they're the ones seeking it out. Usually it's one of the guys or girls that bring it to the bachelor or bachelorette. Like so-and-so is gossiping. So-and-so is doing this. How would it go if Matt went to the girls and like, I want to know who were the people that were being this way with Sarah? Like, how would that go? I wonder.
I don't think it would go well. I don't feel like these women want to have the conflict with Matt. They just want to like duke it out with each other. But if he like puts them on the spot, I bet they all would like demur and like back off a little bit.
I don't think it would go well either.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Even if you want to know, like that's information I would want to know if I'm Matt. Because like you said, totally. you want to know how somebody reacts when like, they're having a bad day. The little things like that when it comes to a partner that you have. You also want to know how they act with other people when something doesn't go away that they like it. And so that's something that you would want to know, but it almost has to come from one of them. It just almost has to.
Absolutely. And I also think that like in some ways, like you don't want to like waste your time with Matt on talking to other women.
Oh yeah.
But on the other hand, like if you can like get that information in like a good way that's like constructive and like more like keeping your boyfriend in the loop about like what's going on in your life, it actually could be a good strategy. No one's ever landed the plane on that one, but I don't think it's out of the question. It's why people try every season to like keep Matt up to date because they like don't do it well. But I do think like there is a way to do that and have everyone and have the lead know what's going on. Again, no one's ever done it, but I think it is possible. It's a feat that could still be attempted.
I think it's because most often when people do attempt to do it, they're, part of it a lot of the time. Or if not like directly connected to it, pretty close to connected to it. They were, and it's not somebody who might just genuinely be talking and answering a question about like, so what's the house like? And you're like, oh my goodness, it's pretty wild here. I mean, it's wild. And Matt's like, tell me more.
Yeah.
It's needs to be genuine and it needs to come from somebody who's not in the drama.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
Personally. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Someone who's just sort of like Abigail could do it because she's not really immersed in this, not really enmeshed in it. But she could like just tell them like what's been going on. Like they have that rapport, they've established it. And she would be the one who could like open up that conversation.
For sure. And I think also there's a way to do it without, I don't know if this is the right approach, but you don't also need to mention names all the time.
Yeah.
You could just say like it's a lot of drama and it's a lot of pettiness. And, there's certain people that maybe you should talk about. You don't have to give a name. You could say, I don't want to do that to the girls because of how it will affect me, because of what I saw, what happened in Sarah. I don't want that to happen to me. I mean,
and it could indicate that you're like above the fray too.
Yes, exactly. I don't know. Yeah. It's tough.
So someone needs to try. I want someone to try.
Yes, please.
Oh man. Another person we got a little bit of this week that we hadn't seen before was Jasenia. She kind of like crept in, had some commentary. I feel like she's just sort of like in the mix. This week felt a lot like trying to expose us to as many women as possible. It's sort of like a transition episode, but like one of my questions is why haven't we gotten more Chelsea? Chelsea is the runway model who's like incredibly striking and the best dressed, probably because she works in fashion.
She was
I'm
awesome.
just like, how many words have we heard Chelsea say? Like under 20? I'm just like, what's going on here?
I mean, when I think of Chelsea, I think of the walk in the room, right?
Yeah,
first episode, I mean, great.
Her dress was incredible.
Yes. Yeah, that's all I think about. I don't think we've heard many conversations.
We've heard nothing.
Right? Nothing.
Very
which is
little.
Unfortunate. She seems cool.
Well, yeah, and I just wanted like are Kit and Chelsea talking about fashion? I mean, it's like Cynthia Rowley's daughter and a runway model. So like there's got to be some fashion conversation happening there.
How do you think, like, how would the show go if they had more stuff like that? Because I'd love to hear that, even if it's like just a 30-second, 1-minute clip of those two talking fashion. That to me would help you get to know the girls in that house a lot, you know, in terms of their actual real life, you know, interests or jobs, whatever it might be. I'd love to see more of that.
So you're really into Big Brother, right?
I love Big Brother, yes.
Isn't that the kind of stuff that happens on that show where you get like small tidbits about the people in addition to like their strategy, but because it's like kind of like a surveillance style show, you get a lot of like just like what they talk about in the house, right?
Yes, a lot of it each week, and that's what makes you fall in love or learn to hate certain characters.
By the way, Kevin, so many Big Brother people on the challenge now. You should watch. There's a whole Big Brother alliance.
Yeah. I gotta tune in. What season is it? Like 32 of the challenge?
It doesn't matter. Just jump right in.
Matter?
Like,
just jump in. Okay.
There's Fessy, who's like, you know, he's really controversial right now.
Yeah.
Fessy,
and wow, that's like throwback name.
Oh my god. Well, he's. There's a lot of Survivor infiltration, and a lot of Big Brother. You should check it out.
Okay. All right.
But that's
into
what
this.
Bachelor needs.
Okay.
It's more of that kind of style of like, we're just hanging out. Here's what's happening in the house. Like more hijinks. That's what the problem is that they tie all of like the conversations directly to the lead. So it's like, it has to be about like how they're feeling about Matt instead of about like just what they talk about and what they care about. Actually, one thing that I've noticed on the press tour for all of Tayshia's guys is like, me along with like, you know, all the other podcasts have asked like, what was it like there? Who are you friends with? Like, do you guys hang out? Like, it's clear there's a real camaraderie between Tayshia's men. And so I think like the people who cover The Bachelor are really interested in that. And that's because we don't see it on the show, but like it's evident afterwards and like in very small moments, but like we'd like to see more of it in the moment.
I think it would be great. I mean, personally, like I said, I love the show. You get to see real, raw human emotion. And I think you also get to learn from it, like with some of the mistakes people make in relationships. Or, I mean, I found the show very informative over the years in some ways too. But like, you don't get that aspect with the interconnectedness amongst, you know, to take a Big Brother term, the house guests.
Yeah.
Like, I wish we could see more of that. And that could add a whole new dimension to the show. I'm not sure if it would be better. I don't know if it would lead to more ratings. I mean,
well, this would have been the season to do it because of like the lack of traveling. Like that's how they should have filled the time, is like getting to know the women in a different way. But it would change the show a little bit. And I'm curious, how do you feel about the teases at the top when they show like the clips that they've never done before?
You mean like beginning of the episode, not the final tease at the end? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I fast forward through the first one because my mom and I
you
DVR.
Don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, like the first one on the episode, we will. The bumps before a commercial break, we'll tend to watch those. But I'd prefer they don't include those because that's one of the things where it's like that's like a 30-second, 45-second block where you could plug in character development, you know, conversations that the girls are having, or even additional stuff from a date that someone might have been on, rather than teasing out what we're about to be watching anyway.
Yeah, like do like a cold open, almost like on The Office, where it's just like kind of not even related to the plot of the episode, but just like really funny and shows like character and point of view or whatever. It could just or even like going into a commercial, they just like build out 2 minutes for that every week, where it's like you just get some kind of flair for who the people are instead of just having to.
Exactly, I'd be super into that because that's what I love. That's what I love about the show is the people aspect. It's like I said, it's the realest show, even though some of it is produced and there's some, you know, possible plants like Victoria. But for the most part, when the show gets later on, I don't know, you just get to see real people.
It's true.
Trying to fall in love.
And also, I think like the anxiety of the show like wears away at any front that you could have. So you're just like, go with it. And you're just like, okay, this is who these people are. You have to believe it. I think there's like hope for doing it this way, because I think that it's clear that The Bachelor itself is trying to like build out more personalities. Like you look at the pods that they're doing, and like they're trying to just like turn the contestants or cast members into more than just like people who come out for one season and leave. And it's like Paradise is part of that too. So I do think there's hope for this kind of thing.
For sure. And, you know, the show, there's pros and cons to that. Some people coming on for fame, some people coming on for genuine reasons. But ultimately, you know, the way the internet and real life are intertwined today, it makes sense for The Bachelor to do that for sure. Creating characters out of the people who are on the show. Absolutely.
Kevin, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been delightful talking to you. For more Kevin O'Connor, check out The Mismatch, which is his own podcast now. And every other Wednesday, I believe, going to be doing Ringer MBA University on the Ringer MBA show.
Yep. I'm super excited.
Pieces on theringer.com. I'll be back on Monday, as always. And everyone have a great weekend.
Thank you, Juliet.